I wanted to do a garden tour just to kind of show you my property and what it looks like. So right now we're in my backyard. Uh, this is the first of a few peach trees on the property, just kind of right here in the corner. This is the gate that leads to the front yard right there. And this is the backyard, which you can see in a lot of my videos. We have this mammoth trampoline for our 4 children, but a few years ago, I brought wood chips in, and it's as a deep mulch. And so the backyard has been deep mulch for several years. And I had ducks for 3 years. And during that time, they had the wood chip mulch the whole time. Here you can see my compost pile. The chickens love this thing. Um, I should mention I got rid of ducks late last year and started chickens this year. And I got to tell you, so far, the chickens for me are a lot better. We have a grapevine that extends across the north fence of our property, and it looks a little tired right now. It's been a long, dry summer, and it's putting all of its energy into fruit production right now. It's actually pretty good yield this year, and the chickens are eating a lot of that. Talking about a long, dry year, my area typically gets about 15 inches of precipitation a year, most of that in the winter. And so here we are, early August, and I don't think we've had an inch of rain in the last 2 months. So there's the chicken coop. We've got a couple things back here. That bathtub is where I propagate plants. The bench, I train the chickens there. And the chickens basically have free range back here. They get to roam wherever they will in the backyard. And that brings us to our side fence. I'll open that. Okay, I'm on the other side of that wooden fence. Up against this, we have a black satin thornless blackberry, as well as several gooseberries. And I let this area kind of go wild. There's a comfrey plant there, and it only gets irrigation um, once or twice a week. I've got an apple tree here. This is a crab apple. I'm working on some trenches. I've got a trench by the sidewalk and another trench further in. Later this year, I'm going to be planting a lot of elderberry and comfrey into those. Another apple tree here. This is a Granny Smith, I think. Okay. And then further along, we've got the veggie garden, and this is definitely a work in progress. You can see all those weeds there. It's overgrown. A lot of the lettuce has gone to seed. I've got some Chinese privet here. This is non-invasive, which is why I planted it. It does okay, but if it's been 2 or 3 days without water, they definitely let you know. And then I've got this patch here. This is bare soil. This is what you don't want. And so I got to figure out what to do with this. I had potatoes planted here. They really struggled, so I probably won't do potatoes again. So this is my side yard. It goes all the way from that north fence up there. Got 2 apple trees. We get to the veggie garden, and then we extend over here to the end of this side, which I've got elderberry plants right there. I've got a second compost pile there. Got some sunchokes and some sunflower growing in this, but it gets a bulk of the sun. So whatever I plant here has to be really drought tolerant. Um, it takes a beating. And then we come over here to the south side of the property. Before I get too far, we've got a big cherry tree there. And then we have 3 pine trees. 1, 2, 3. And so under these pine trees, we've got a lot going on. This is fall gold raspberry. I've got horseradish. I've got a Chicago hardy fig that I'm going to replant. It's just not thriving there. I've got a lot of comfrey over here. This area gets well watered and just the right amount of shade, so it's thriving over here. And then I've got some sunchokes from last season. These are volunteers, and a whole bed of sunchokes over there. I've got a lilac bush, and then this patch by the road is another problem spot. And the reason it's a problem spot is it's hard to get water out here and it gets a lot of sun. So what I'm trying to do, and this is going to be a work in progress, see that there, I've got a Somerset seedless grape that I'm going to try to trellis all along this southern fence that runs along the property. Okay, so now we're over here. Heritage raspberry. Got a good grove of heritage raspberry going on. Some gooseberry. Got some sweet woodruff. And then a black currant. And then I did that thing that everyone tells you not to do, which is I planted the mint in the ground. And frankly, I'm okay with that. I want it to spread and I want green, I want biomass. So if it spreads, that's great. I'll just harvest it and it'll be reliable. And it's planted underneath this oak leaf sumac. I don't know how to pronounce that. All right, moving this way, we've got an acer, and planted between the acer and the pine tree, we've got a series of 7 triple crown thornless blackberries that are about 3 years old. And this has been the best year for harvesting so far. Um, it, the berries last year tasted terrible, and I read up about it. And supposedly, the first couple years, the berries are not going to taste very good. So, if that's an indication, hopefully next year it tastes even better. Behind these blackberries, I've got a Honeycrisp apple, a red currant, and a little comfrey, and then a Macintosh apple. And then I've got a little bed over there with a lot of drought-tolerant plants, things like yarrow, and got some echinacea and some chives over there. But you can notice a lot of wood chips. I'm trying to keep the, the 2 principles of working with dry and hot places are shade and mulch. And so I'm trying to work with what I have to keep the mulch up and the shade on. Otherwise, these plants get scorched. So between that front south lawn and the house is just a grass lawn. This is good for the kids, and it's also good for biomass. I just mow the lawn and use the clippings and compost pile. But you can see, I mean, it struggles. I've got a lot of brown patches, and when the temperatures cool down and the fall comes in, um, the green will come back. This is a Rainier cherry tree, and it's hit or miss. We've had some years with no harvest, and we've had years with really strong harvest. This was a kind of a medium harvest this year. This I plan on doing a lot more videos about in the future. This is actually a pizza oven that I built just earlier this year, sitting on a cinder block base. And I've made pizza on it 3 or 4 times. Got the door off, you can kind of see inside there. Anyway, don't want to dwell too long on this, but yeah, I'll be doing a lot of videos on that. And this is the peach tree that we started at. So we've kind of gone full circle. This edge of the property is really just for entertaining. Got some shade and chairs, but not a lot of garden happening over here. The only thing is we've got It's overrun with weeds right now, but in the spring we have tulips here along the fence, and then you can just see the Virginia creeper along the side of the fence there, and then it covers that back fence as well. So that is the property. A little quick tour. We're on about a little less than half an acre. We're on 0.4 acres, and um, we're loving it so far. I'm on year 3 of permaculture and trying to make the property look really good. And so a lot of this is plant propagation, trying to get shade, and yeah, that's about where we are.